Okay everybody, Tektalar here again with the 27th episode of the Heroes Appendix video series. Its purpose is to help newer and veteran players alike to fully understand the ins and outs of all the characters in Hero Wars Mobile. In today's video, we are reviewing the second place winner of the most recent vote amongst my patrons, Martha, who is one of the few heroes you cannot actually earn soulstones for on your daily grind, and whose role is often mistaken for a healer when she's really a tank. Today, we'll talk about everyone's favorite crutch support in virtually every team. In today's video, we're going to be discussing her skills, how they visually appear, and their uses both practically and strategically, when to use Martha, when not to use her roles in the team, skin priority order, artifact priority order, glyph priority order. First up is Martha's activatable skill, Foremother's Oath, which is commonly referred to as her ultimate because this is the ability she can use once her yellow energy gauge is filled during battle. Martha will grow in size and raise her staff to the sky, and either leaves, snowflakes, or stars will begin to encircle your entire team depending on what skin you have equipped, increasing the attack, movement speed, and cooldown reduction of all allies by 240%, which roughly translates to 85% reduction of the hero's time. This skill is only impacted by leveling and scales at a rate of 2% per point invested. This means that this skill is considerably better the higher in level Martha is. A note to make is this skill is considered a buff and can be disabled by Darkstar's Vengeful Souls ability. Another note to make is this skill is only active for 6 seconds, so the 85% cooldown reduction won't be applied beyond that time frame. So at most, it reduces the cooldown of skills by 5.1 seconds. Martha's second skill is called Secret of Longevity. Whenever Martha performs a basic attack, a green leaf inside of a bubble will float towards the nearest enemy. Once it makes contact, it will then fly back to Martha and healing her along the way. The further the projectile travels, the more it will heal. The heal for this skill scales at a rate of 24% of Martha's maximum health plus 48,000. This is the maximum amount this skill can heal for. There is an additional step to calculating this heal where you take the amount from the calculation above and divide it by 8. 8 is the maximum number of times the heal can trigger for Martha per basic attack based on the distance. If you get all 8, it will heal for the amount in the tooltip. I've made a chart here so you can see Martha's positioning in relation to the enemy. This positioning can be altered by displacement abilities throughout the course of the battle, so you have to keep that in mind when trying to gauge how much she's going to be healed for. Martha's third skill is called Tea Party. Martha will shout to the sky and lean back on her turtle and lash her weapon forward, dropping a giant teapot on the ground, which will heal for 60% magic attack plus 30,000 over 8 seconds. This is the total heal amount, which heals every second, so you can divide the tooltip amount by 8 for each of the heals tick. Martha's totem cannot be directly targeted by basic attacks or single target abilities. However, it only has 1 health, and will break upon receiving any cleave or AoE damage. This skill can be used once every 15 seconds, starting from Martha's first attack during battle. Martha's final skill is called Healing Brew. While Martha's Tea Party skill is active, the ally with the least health in percent now receives additional healing. This skill has a 15% maximum health ratio plus 38,000, which heals every time her teapot heals. A note with this skill is if the 2 lowest heroes have the same percent health, it will randomly choose between them. Let's take a deeper look now and see when you should be using Martha. First up is anytime you need a rear line tank to soak damage from an enemy Jew or leper from Jorgen. If the opponents deal mostly frontline damage and won't have an easy way to break Martha's totem, giving her the freedom to heal the entire team. If you need an extra armor buff, or someone to soak Orion's missiles, and against Kira to keep her from penetrating your team's armor for much of the fight. Next, if you're new to the game, she's a great unit to add early on because her skills all scale extremely well from leveling, and the speed bonus combined with her big AoE heals, it's hard to match while leveling. There are so many other instances that it's easy to feel comfortable just sticking Martha, and you should feel free to do so. Just try your best not to become reliant on her, because at the very end game, she isn't used quite as often. Now we'll take a look at when you should be avoiding Martha in your team. First up is if your team doesn't require a rear line tank or an armor buff. And second is because her team heal isn't reliable, so you don't want to bring her as a healer when the enemy team deals a significant amount of AoE damage, because it's going to immediately break her totem and she's only going to end up healing herself. And then lastly, she's easy to become reliant on early in the game, so learning to try fights with and without her as you grow to learn when she's really making a difference in your team. Sometimes you can offset her in your team simply by making your main tank stronger. Now we'll discuss her roles in the team. Martha's role is support tank, which means her main role is to buff the team and receive a lot of damage. Martha is the kind of tank known as a soak, due to her incredibly daunting health pool, which caps at 343,202. Since she's in the rear of every team, it can be difficult to reach and deal damage to her, and with her second skill firing off every basic attack, she could potentially be healing herself up to 130,368 per attack. This is not including the healing from her totem. So, even if she loses a ton of her health in a single attack, she will regain over a third of that back every basic attack, which could potentially trigger her to ult and attack even faster, recovering tons more health and dropping her totem once every 10 seconds instead of every 15, which means there would only be a 2-second window of active time without the totem. So the goal typically shouldn't be to kill Martha herself, but rather bring down the team around her in spite of the abilities and stats she's bringing to the team. This massive healing to herself also pads the numbers at the end of battle, so people get a distorted view of her as a healer, not realizing it's her second skill and not her totem doing most of the healing. Sometimes she can be an effective healer, but she's more often than not healing herself and tanking more than she is healing the rest of the team. In this segment, we'll be discussing her skins. The top in priority is her winter skin, which offers 10,650 magic attack and is the single greatest contributor to the team heal early on. Since only her team heal mechanic relies on this stat, and without a health option to choose, we start with this here. The second in priority is her default skin, which offers 1,365 magic defense, 1,365 physical attack, and 4,095 magic attack. Martha gets, again, group healing, magic defense, and the ability to pierce dodge to potentially help if Daredevil is partnered with her. Last in priority is her solar skin, which provides up to 10,650 magic defense. And since the rear position on the team seldom takes numerous hit, low penetration magic attacks, it's safe to leave this skin for last. Next we'll be discussing artifact priority. First up is her book, which grants her 10,680 magic attack and 53,394 health, and offers her the largest single source of survivability for both her and her allies out of the 3 artifacts, because it offers increased survivability for her and greater healing from both her 3rd and 4th skills. Second in priority is her artifact weapon, Zarakari Teapot, which offers her and her team up to 32,040 armor for 9 seconds. Against some teams, this artifact will fire off repeatedly because Martha kind of serves as her own battery and can work together with or even to replace a tank's armor buff. Last in priority is her artifact ring. This grants her 11,970 magic attack, 3,990 physical attack, and 3,990 magic defense. This is an important artifact to have and can help her a lot, particularly early against casters via magic defense, especially if she's partnered with Faceless, and will help keep her going against crit teams and keeping her allies alive longer. In our final segment, we will be discussing glyph stat priority. The first glyph is Health, which provides 30,800 health. This falls at the top for priority because she doesn't have a health skin. The second glyph is Magic Attack, which grants 3,360 magic attack, and will help her healing and damage output reach the highest levels to keep both herself and allies going longer. The third in priority is Armor, which gives 3,360 armor, which offers her a must-have level of armor both early in the game and given her position in the team. The fourth glyph to choose is Intelligence, which adds 560 magic defense, 560 physical attack, and 1,680 magic attack. This will contribute more to her crit resistance, magic defense, and a fair amount of healing. The last glyph to choose is her Magic Defense, which provides 3,360 magic defense, which is not necessary for her to be effective, but it is nice to have and can help create situations against mages where she's alive and under the effects of either a magic defense artifact buff or Faceless's aura, where she can become seemingly unkillable. Okay everybody, hopefully you found this video informative. If you do, please like, follow, and subscribe to my channel. Another thing to consider is recommending my content to your friends as well if you know they yearn for knowledge of the game. Since these videos are private, word of mouth is how they will get spread. Also, for a large and active Hero Wars mobile community, join my Facebook group called Hero Wars Mobile Community The GOAT. The link will be in the video's description. Thanks for watching.